Okay, so now let's learn the concept of class. Now before that I just want to mention one thing. In case if you want to access this piece of code, this is available in this particular repository. Obviously I'll put that after my session. So first of all, let's try to understand what is a class. Class is a collection of object. Class is basically a blueprint of an object. Now if you don't know the object oriented definition of a class, again you should go to those theoretical videos, if I may. In this video we are going to discuss how we can make a class, how we can define a class, and what we can do with various aspects of class. So how to define a class? So I'll say class person and braces. That's it. This is how we define a class. This is how we define a class. Now if I want to create an object of this particular class, so I'll say let Avinash object equals to new person. I'll save the file and now I'll say console.log Avinash object. I'll save the file. Now obviously this object has nothing. It's technically an empty object. Okay, it's technically an empty object. You can see there is a constructor, but again there is nothing in the constructor. We have to define everything. So this is a very bare minimum, I would say, of how we define a class and how we declare make an object of a class. Now obviously the class is not going to stay empty. We have to put something inside it. With the things we can put in. So here what we are planning to give this Avinash object name as well as age. So what I'll do, I'll say this class will have two properties. I would say two properties or fields. So I'll say this class is going to have a name property. I'll say name prop and I'll say age prop. Now I'm using this term name prop and age prop because obviously it helps us make it easier to understand. So you can see now as soon as I save the file, now you can see these two properties are undefined. Now if I want to define them, let's try to do this. Avinash and age equals to 99. So I've saved this file. Now you can see these are by default. So every time I'm going to create a new object, it is going to remain the same. So let's say instead of this, I'll say let Harry object equals to new person. I'll save the file and you can see I have to create this object as well, console.log. So you can see instead even the Harry object has this name of Avinash and age property of 99, which is not technically a right way of doing it because we don't want these kind of values. So what we will do, we will say we will have a constructor. So what is a constructor? Constructor is a method which runs as soon as we create an object of the class. So I'll say this constructor will have two properties, if I may, or I'll say name as well as age. Now what do I want to do? I want to define, I want to declare these values. So I'll say this dot name prop equals to name and this dot age prop equals to age. Now I've saved the file. Now you can see this is again undefined. So now what we have to do, we have to pass those values when we are declaring the object. So I'll say Avinash set, the age is 99, and I'll say Harry Potter and age is 97. Okay, so now you can see if I have defined this constructor, you can see it is getting the values of 97 and Harry Potter. Now let's try to do one thing. I'll say let Iron Man object equals to new person, and let's not pass any value. Let's just save the file and let's try to console it. Console log it. So I'll say Iron Man object and I'll save the file. Now you can see the Iron Man object does not have a default value. It does not have a default value because we are not passing it. It's technically undefined. Okay, so this is how we are going to actually declare the properties inside the class. So this is not the right way of doing it. So I'm going to remove it because we don't want any default values. It is recommended that we don't go with the default values. So obviously this is now, it's not giving us the error, which is technically wrong, but yes, that's the way it is. So now let's move to the next part. I'll remove everything from here right now. Now the second thing is, if I want to access the name I'll say console.log name of Avinash object is, and I'll say Avinash obj.name. I'll save the file. Now you can see I'm able to, it's name prop, not just name. Yeah, so you can see fine, I'll just keep it like that way. So you can see I'm getting the object which I'm trying to find out, and I'm also able to access this value of name prop. Now if I'm able to access this value of name prop, can I do something with it? So I'll say Avinash object equals to name prop equals to something wrong. I'll tell you why. And now what I'll do, I'll copy this and I'll paste it here. And now if I'm trying to access it, you can see I'm getting the new value of something wrong, which is technically should not be allowed. So first of all, I'm able to access these values, which is fine, but I'm also able to make changes to those properties outside the class. Now, if you're coming from an object-oriented programming concept, you understand that this is not a recommended way of doing it, because obviously anyone can do that. So what we will do, we will make them private. Now how we will make them private? We will simply add a hash sign in front of the properties. So I'll say hash name prop and hash age prop. Now obviously nothing has happened. You can see there is a slight difference. Now instead of having 2 properties, we are now having 4 properties. So we have name prop, age prop, name prop, age prop, and these are private properties. If I may. Okay, these are private properties. Now what we will do, we will come here and we will say this hash name prop, this hash age prop. Now I'll save the file. So now you can see the 2 properties are gone. Now first of all, I'm not able to access this value. You can see the name of Avinash object is undefined. Now I try to set the property and now I'm able to access it. So let's try to do one more thing. Let's try to console the Avinash object again. And now you can see the Avinash object has one more property, which is name prop. So obviously if I want to add something, I have to use hash. And when I'll do that, I'll get the error. That means now these properties are private. Now these properties are private. So I'll comment everything. I hope you are able to understand. Now last thing which we have to understand is technically a concept of getter and setter. So like let's say if I want to get the value of age, so I'll say get name prop and I'll say return this dot hash name prop. Now this is again a concept, if I may. Okay, so I'll say console dot log Avinash object dot get name prop. I'll save the file and you can see I'm getting the value of Avinash set. So here you can see in very short way, if I talk about, it's already above 8 minutes. So you can see we try to understand the concept of classes. Obviously I want to mention one thing, we did not go into various details of object oriented programming. We understood the concept of class inside JavaScript, like how it is done. Obviously if you have any questions, put them in the comment, and if you need a source code, the link will be available in the description of this video.